Hi, this is me again on a serious story. And I was deciding whether I'm going to do this, was going to do a video. And I thought about it. I said, I want to do a video. And people, a certain amount of YouTubers are covering this story about this 5-year-old who was violated and harmed and left for dead by these two kids, elementary school age, 9 and 10. Now, this is in Ohio, and I said, okay, and whatever else I've heard in Ohio. Oh yeah, there was another case, which was not covered, which I heard on my another channel about. It's on my Rumble channel, but a lot of people, they don't go on Rumble and they don't know what's going on, and how another child had been wrongfully taken from her mother and allegedly being exploited and abused up in the system. But we won't get into about CPS and how, a lot of stuff has been going on. Now, this is bad what happened to that 5-year-old girl. And then my question is about the parents, or who was the guardians of this 9 and 10-year-old, and what happened? What did they see? And a lot of people are saying about, they're saying about how the kids are exposed to stuff. Now, I'm looking at this, and a lot of people who are hearing this, they don't realize this has been going on for years. Yes, has been going on for years. And within the last few years, I've heard about people, about human trafficking, about the how people and different people from different bloodline families have shared different testimonies and different things about what's been going on. And people going through, and within the last, I say, few years, I've heard about people who were survivors of the MK Ultra mind control through the government. Now, it's been a big thing, and a lot of people, especially people who are believers, who follow Jesus, and who are believers in Jesus and of the Christian faith, they all of a sudden now, people are all of a sudden now outraged. I'm like, this has been going on for a long time. Yes, people being brutally hurt and harming kids and brutally violating kids, toddlers. And this has been going on. And the people won't address about how the child trafficking ring and how that's just, that's the allegedly this system of the globalist power structure. Now, this is a situation that has seeped out to the general public now, and now it's open on an open forum. Now, when people realize that this has been going on for ages, and I'm looking at this, and I'm looking at how people are covering it, and how black folks with channels are covering it, and people who are believers in Jesus or of the faith are covering it, and people don't get how can something like this happen? I'm like, y'all, hello? Look at me. I know I look crazy all right, but my sunshade's back on and look crazy. It's not funny. But I heard this. I said, okay, they, that's how people, just like people turn a blind eye within the last 5 years of everything from allowing people to get experimental injections and forcing little toddlers to put a thing on their face. Oh, you don't care. And I'm going to say it. I'm going to say it to the people who are doing the videos. You did not care when people were trying to tell the truth about what was been going on in the last few years and how big the human trafficking and how there's kids being violated on a regular basis. Oh, but you don't pay attention to that. Oh, now you want to pay attention when something happens, hits home. Oh, now you want to pay attention. And this is a heartbreaking situation. And yeah, kids get charge them, with the extent of the law. And I heard they were getting charged. But you also need to investigate the people that the kids were living with. Investigate them. People aren't talking about this. I'm like, who were these kids living with? Now, I will tell you this. Kids get violated as a toddler and deal with incest. Now, I've come across people who have shared within the last few years have talked about dealing with incest, down to a lady, because I met a mind control survivor who was trafficked back from when she was actually trafficked as a small child. She's older now, and she was rescued like over 30 years ago, and her husband passed away, and she was fortunate enough to have at least 30 years with him before he passed away and stuff like that. And I have information on my Rumble channel. I share a lot on my Rumble. I have a lot on my Rumble channel. I haven't shared too much on my Rumble channel. I have more videos on my YouTube. Now, this situation is, and how people are covering it, and how people who don't seem to get that this stuff has been going on. And I would say not just in that state, and how people aren't investigating. They just saw the kids, and nobody's noticed how they reported it, and how nobody is really talking about investigating who these kids were living with. They're just talking about these kids did this, and this stuff is learned. And I'm wondering where these kids, this 9 and 2-year-old kid that did this to this little girl, were they violated as a small child? Because small children 5 years old have been getting violated. Kids even younger, down on the toddler level, have been getting violated. I've heard stories. Kids are, that's how young they traffic kids. 5 and 6-year-old small kids. That's how young they start. And they actually, and I will tell you this, some kids are violated as little infant child. And I know this is so much for a lot of people who are believers in Jesus to really think about that kids are getting violated as kids are getting violated as an infant. I know this is too much. I should say allegedly. This is so much. I can't get it. I don't understand how somebody could. I'm like, people have been doing this for years. But this has now just come up on the open. And all of a sudden, people are automatically outraged. Yes, I'm outraged too. This bothers me. And this shouldn't have never happened. And it bothers me. it bothers me even more that people act like this is just one isolated event. That's what pisses me off even more, that people don't realize that kids that young, 5 years old, even younger, have been getting violated and getting trafficked. Oh, you didn't know that child trafficking is a big thing going on something going on in America? Oh, you thought it was just other countries. Oh, you, and I just look into it, and just wait until people who, and when the truth really comes out, you know how the Bible talks about the falling away, and how the falling away, oh, that's what might cause people to fall away, when they realize their favorite celebrity, their favorite guy in ministry, or whatever the case may be, is tied to violating a child, or there are all kinds of situations, and I find out that there are people who, I would say, people in certain bloodline families. And then I'm finding out some people in bloodline families that were violated when they were kids, and who are testifying online, who are sharing, and who people have had attempts on their life and stuff like that. They're actually sharing publicly, been sharing publicly online about these things, and they're sharing on YouTube. Yes, on YouTube, have shared publicly about situations, about actually in person, and they name names, and name names of people, and name names of famous people, and I'm not going to talk about the famous different names that they named in this video. You can just look online and you can see how many people have shared about it. But what gets me is how people are acting like this is just an isolated event, and how they don't get how young kids, I'm like, this doesn't just come from just kids watching inappropriate stuff. I would wonder if this happened to any of those two kids, and if they saw something going on to another small child, and they were just having to be nearby. Then, on top of that, they thought they could get away. What made this 9 and 10-year-old think that they could do this bad to a child and get away with it? Unless they seen it. But nobody's asking those. You don't ask those type of questions. They're just saying these kids did a bad thing, and aren't they asking any question about where they were living, and who they were living with, and how these kids, because bullying is bad. I got bullied, and kids are very evil. And you'd be surprised about the stuff that some of these kids are exposed to. It's way worse than, I've seen when I was younger. And my thing is this. Now, that area is, predominantly a lot of, large area with the unmelanated. I say white people's unmelanated. I call them melanated and unmelanated. But I would say this. This goes across different racial lines, because it's not just one complexion. I'll just say one complexion. It goes across melanated, unmelanated, softly melanated. I call people of different Middle Eastern national softly melanated. So I this goes across, but nobody's just thinking about that, you know. Yeah, in some cultures they have child brides who are and 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 it's crazy how people act like this is, they don't get that kids that small. Well, think about, they're actually legal. It's legal in other countries to marry a child. I'm not going to get into different faiths and different people and culture things right now. I'm not going to get into that, and how different, different groups and this goes across, and that's different ethnicities and things like that, because people have been, doing stuff to kids for years, but a lot of people of the Christian faith, I say I'm addressing because I'm in the Christian faith, and a lot of people just pretend like that doesn't go on in America. Oh, in America that doesn't go. I'm like, this case is just something in the open. It's been going around on or down, I would say, allegedly behind closed doors all for years. But in America, yes, in America, y'all, in America. But it's just now coming in the open. This one case is just coming in the open now, because people have shared testimonies of what has gone on in America, and people have did documentaries on what's going on in America. It's not, I know a guy that's running for California governor. He has literally a documentary related to child trafficking. Louis Herms. I actually met him. I went to some of his events on his troop tour, and this is not a video endorsing him, even though I would endorse him, but this is about this child and how a lot of people who are of the faith have turned a blind eye to what's been going on in America, how kids are getting violated left and right in America. And I would say younger than 5 years old. Yes, I said it, younger than 5 years old. There are kids actually younger than 5 years old. But this case is a very heartbreaking case. And I would investigate where these kids, who raised these kids? Where were they living? Yeah, they're getting charged as adults. But I'm wondering, what adults were these kids around to get in their mind, to get exposed to that much, to get in their mind that we gonna just take a 5-year-old girl, and obviously they knew this child had other issues, and I'm sure I wouldn't doubt that these kids were watching her and knew that she wasn't being watched properly. Yes, I know, I said it. And one of the YouTubers said, I don't know what he said. He doesn't know what him and his wife would have done if that would have happened to. I had my child, somebody watching my child, what would happen. But I would say this. This needs to be addressed. This needs to be addressed. I know y'all, see, I got my blanket around me. I got this shirt on. But this needs to be addressed. And and people who are of the faith, good people, have turned a blind eye to any types of exploitation or any exploitation of children or adults. Because look how weak people of faith were during the COVID thing. I see how weak they were, and some of them still don't, it's just, they bow to hold so much because they want to be a good person. They want to say that I'm not going to get involved in politics, and I'm not going to get involved because it's not my place. Look what's going on over across the seas in Europe, because people of faith have not been strong to stand up at the Christian faith. But in America, it's just that, and see, I come across people. People have shared testimonies of people have been sharing testimonies of them going through incest and stuff like that, and how people have gotten healed and their so-called said inner healing after going through things. And this is a analyzation, stuff that needs to be analyzed. I'll investigate who raised this 9 and 10. I don't want to just go after the kids, those 2 kids. I would want to investigate who was raising this 9 and 10-year-old child to actually think it was okay and thought they could get away with it. And then I guess they figured out we're just kids, and they're not going to charge us. They just think that we're just kids, and if we do something really, really bad, that they're not going to, we're not going to get in trouble because, they'll assume that an adult did it and not kids. And that's probably somewhere within their mind they were thinking. And they wouldn't think, oh, they're not going to charge kids. They, we might be in juvenile. They're not going to charge kids, and they're not going to get any time or anything for this. But in America, and so, and this is a warning to people coming to America. Oh, there's a whole lot of more that there's surveillance cameras, and there's surveillance cameras a lot, and they can track you by your cell phone too. Then there's Space Force. Oh, yeah, that's another thing they can track you too. The U.S. Military Space Force. That was cyber, and that's even deeper than just tracking you by your phone. That's something that America has that you can't really find in other countries. America has deeper cybersecurity because after that U.S. Military Space Force. Oh, y'all didn't know that. Oh, y'all didn't know that. Oh, yeah, about that. So you better, whoever does crimes in America, just know that there's a whole lot deeper ways where they can find you and charge you for crimes than it is in other countries. Because there's stuff that you can track in your car. And you can delete stuff offline. And unfortunately, I've said some stuff and and I had to, different things I've said on my mind. I had to delete and stuff like that. But this whole case, I'm gonna see if I'm, maybe link something in the description, another video or somebody explaining a lot better. But that same state had a situation where I already heard about in that state something, where a mother had their child taken from them. And this wasn't a black, it wasn't for abuse or anything like that. They just didn't like, cause in America, they don't like you. Your child can just be taken and I'll say allegedly exploited, legally by CPS, maybe. I just say allegedly. I've heard. I'll just say allegedly. But this thing with this child, I just say investigate all the people that investigate who these kids were around for them to think that they can do this to a child. And what did they go through? Because kids do get violated as toddlers. I want to know if this 9 and 10-year-old was violated when they were 5 or younger, because they do violate kids younger than 5 years old. I've heard about it. I heard stories. So this is something that people need to pray into and let God show them, because some of the people that I'm subscribed to and that would watch this video, they have people that God speaks to. This video is longer than what I had planned it to be, but just hopefully somebody will watch it and look into it and pray into it and let God show you what's really going on in America. Because I don't want to keep saying allegedly. And that might cause people to lose faith in their faith in Christ, Jesus. Because when they find out the truth or what's really going on in America, and this case with this child, this is just something in the open of what's going on behind closed doors. It's not just an isolated case. It's been going on behind closed doors in America. But you can get caught easier in America too. So I'm going to leave that there, and I'm just going to have to cut this video off because this video is going into 28 minutes and I got other videos to do. All right. I'm going to leave that there. And I'm checking the description. I might link a video in the description that explains it better, because this has been a big story that people aren't covering. Different YouTubers aren't covering. And when they cover it, they act like this is just such an isolated event. And they act like this hasn't been going on behind closed doors. And that's what pisses me off even more. They act like this has not been going on behind closed doors with little small children. And I will leave that there. All right.